Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be continuing my St Andrews series as I've had quite a few questions about kind of social life and nightlife and how that is in St Andrews, so I thought I would give you guys a bit of a rundown. So the university is situated in St Andrews, which is quite a small town, so I know a lot of people have concerns that there might not be that much to do there, or is it too small of a place for them to live in for 4 years? So I thought I would give you guys a bit of an insight into what we get up to day to day, and then also nightlife. So yeah, stay tuned. So obviously the main bulk of what we get up to as students is studying, so whether it's writing an essay, reading a book, studying for a test, that takes up most of your time, whether it be at home or in the library, but there are other things to do in the town as well, if you do find any spare time. So obviously we do the usual things that most people do. We go hang out at each other's houses, we go on lunch dates, we grab coffee after class, we go out to dinner, go to the cinema. There's a cinema in St Andrews. All the usual things that you would get up to, we have access to in St Andrews. In terms of your studies, sometimes it's fun to take a break from working by yourself and go to the library and meet up with your friends and study together, kind of with some moral support, whether you're studying the same thing or different things. The bottom floor of the library allows for socializing, so you can talk, you can work together, you can do whatever you would like, and then the floors that are further up are silent. There are also 3 beaches in St Andrews where you can go and walk, you can go and run, you can go for a picnic, you can go for a swim if you really want to. There's also actually a botanic gardens in St Andrews, which a lot of people don't know about or ever go to, but it's really nice. There's plenty of plants, and there's actually a butterfly, like, I don't know what they're called. It's like a greenhouse full of butterflies, so that's really fun. So another thing we have that's quite unique to St Andrews is obviously we have the golf courses. So throughout the year there are a few different golf tournaments that come to St Andrews that students can go along and watch. The biggest one being the Alfred Dunhill Links Championship, which takes place in October for 4 days, I believe, and it sees a lot of celebrities coming to St Andrews, so students often like to go and see if they can meet them. If you follow me on Instagram, you might know that I actually worked at the Dunhill Links this past year, and I was able to carry board for Bill Murray. There are also a lot of touristy attractions in St Andrews, so there's the cathedral and the castle, which are both in ruins, but you can go and have a look around them. There's a tower you can climb, which gets a view of the entire town of St Andrews and the sea, which is really nice. Lots of stairs though. We also have the pier, which a lot of people do pier walks across. There's actually a pier walk every Sunday, I believe, of students who usually they come from the church service and they walk down the pier in their red gowns. The most popular one is the first pier walk of the year, and then also the one that takes place at the Gaudi in May. So probably the 2 things that students do most frequently, I would say, is take outings to Morrisons, which is like a big deal. So Morrisons is kind of away from the center of town, I would say, so often you only go if you have a car or if you live near it, because if you walk you often have to carry heavy groceries and it's just not as fun. So yeah, me and my friends would often take a weekly trip to Morrisons, and that would be our big adventure for the week. Even though it doesn't sound that exciting, it's very exciting. The second thing that students do a lot is go for walks, so whether that's through the town centre or along the beaches, or there's also a path known as the Laid Braes, which goes kind of through the woods, and a lot of people like to walk there, especially when they've been cooped up inside during like Revision Week or something like that. So we have a few shops in St Andrews, mostly like touristy shops, and then there's some gift shops that sell like cards and gifts, and then the only real clothing shop that we have in St Andrews is H&M. So oftentimes if people are wanting to do like a bigger clothes shop, they'll take the bus to Dundee, which is about half an hour away, or they'll even go into Edinburgh, which on the bus takes a couple of hours, on the train it's 1 hour. So they are quite accessible because the bus station is right in St Andrews. So yeah, if you did want to go shopping not at H&M, you can go into Dundee or Edinburgh. Okay, so hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of some of the things that we get up to in St Andrews during the daytime. So now I'm going to move on to what we do at night. So I know a lot of people have concerns that St Andrews isn't going to have very good nightlife because it's so small, so I'm going to give you the rundown on how things kind of work. So if you were just looking to kind of go get drinks with your friends, there are plenty of places. There are tons of pubs and bars around that serve cocktails and beer and wine, etc. So there's tons of places you can go to. They do get very busy on Fridays and Saturdays especially, but it's usually fun. In terms of like clubs, we have a few options. So the biggest place is at the Union. So the Union is made up of Main Bar, which is the ground floor bar where they often have events with a DJ, and they have cheap drinks, which is nice. And then if you go up a few floors, there's Beacon Bar, which is much smaller. It's usually quiet, just go for more of a socialize, less dancey. And then in the back of the Union, there's actually Club 601. So in 601, every Friday, they have an event known as the Bop with different themes. I believe it's £3 to get into, and it has cheap drinks, and they're usually pretty good for the money. So across the street from the Union is the Vic, which is another pub/club. The club part of the Vic is very small, so it was always super cramped, and I never really liked it that much. Made me quite claustrophobic. And I also found that the Vic often was full of like older businessmen as well as college kids. It was a bit of a strange combination, to be honest. There is also the Rule, which is during the day is a restaurant, pub type, and then at night they like take all the tables away, and they often host events as well. That one's not open as frequently, I don't think. It's usually just for specific events, as far as I'm aware. I only ever went for events. But yeah, then there's another club/bar. I think it's called Aikman's or Eichmann's, I don't know how to say it. I never went there. I don't think it's my type of music. I'm not exactly sure what type of music it is. I'm thinking it's house, but I can't be very sure. So I never went, but yeah, maybe you're into that. So check it out. So on top of these clubs and pubs, St Andrews is also known for having tons and tons of events throughout the year, most of which are very, very expensive. So during Freshers Week, there are events every single day. Usually, or I think all of them are at the Union, and they're usually a lot more expensive than they'll be later in the year, just because it's Freshers Week and they like to charge you lots of money. So instead of £3, they'll be like 10, I think. And then at the end of Freshers Week, there's an event known as Starfields, which is run by one of the societies at St Andrews. And it's kind of like a festival, so they get big acts to come and perform, and it's in a field, and people dress up like as if they were going to a festival. And I never actually got to go to that because tickets always sell out really quickly, but yeah, that's one that everyone seems to love. So there are also lots of balls scattered throughout the year. So there's actually hall balls. So each hall runs their own ball. So DRA has a ball, Sally's has a ball, Regs has a ball. And usually people who are residents of those halls go to the ball and bring their friends, even if they're not from that hall, because it's extra tickets. There's also opening ball, welly ball, Christmas ball, May ball. There's subject balls, so each like subject runs a ball of their own, usually just for students of that subject. And some of the balls include dinners, so it'll start a bit earlier, around 7, and you'll be served a 3-course meal, usually with alcohol included, and then it'll turn into like a dance party situation. Or some of them are just simply the dance aspect of it. The best ball that I ever went to was actually DRA ball in my first year, which was themed around the 7 deadly sins. So for greed, it must have been, they had all of these casino tables set up to play different games, and they would give you like fake money to play with, and you would win sweets. So that was really fun because it gave you something else to do besides just dance for 7 hours straight. In St Andrews, we also have a lot of fashion shows. So there are 4 or 5 fashion show events throughout the year run by different societies, and you can get tickets to watch the show, and then they usually have an after party as well. Those are probably the most expensive events of the year. For one of the shows, at least, I know you have to book a table of 10 people, and I believe it's over £100 per person, which is insane. So whoever has to book the table has to pay over £1,000. There is also a polo event in April where St Andrews plays against Edinburgh, and you can go and watch the Polo and drink champagne. Unfortunately, I was going to go for the first time this year, and then coronavirus happened and I never got to go, which is really sad because I was really looking forward to that. And just like everywhere else, we will often host prees before one of these big events, or even just before a Friday night going out at someone's house where all your friends can get together and hang out, play drinking games, etc. If you're not super into drinking and going out, dancing, etc., there are some other things that we do at night in St Andrews as well. So the cinema in St Andrews only does showings from about 5 p.m. onwards, so all of them are in the evening. So if you were looking for something to do at night, you could always go to the cinema. The cinema is quite small, but they do usually have all of the films that you would want to see. I've never had a problem with them not showing a film I wanted to see. There are often also plays you can go and see, either at the Union or at the Bayer Theatre, which is a theatre that we have in St Andrews, either by students or sometimes by professional actors as well. So those are quite fun. And one of my favourite things to do was to go to a ceilidh at Forgan's. So Forgan's is a restaurant in St Andrews along the main street. But on Friday nights, people go and get drinks there, and then they host a big ceilidh dance, which if you don't know what it is, it's a type of Scottish dancing, and it's always very entertaining because no one really knows what they're doing because it's usually non-Scottish people doing it, but they try and teach you as you go along, and it's really funny. In terms of travelling further afield, if you were looking to go into Dundee at night for like a night out there with your friends who go to Dundee University maybe, I believe there are night buses that can bring you back up until like 3 a.m. maybe. If you were looking to go to Edinburgh or Glasgow for a night out, I don't think there's particularly any way of getting back to St Andrews in the early hours of the morning. So everyone I've known who has done that has had a place to stay for that night and then come back in the morning. So for example, a lot of people will go to concerts in Edinburgh or Glasgow because obviously we don't have them in St Andrews, and usually they'll go with someone from that place so they can stay at their house that night and then come back to St Andrews the next day. In terms of travelling to other places, we obviously do have the bus station, which I mentioned in St Andrews, and then you can also get the bus to the nearest train station, which is about a 10-15 minute drive. It's called Lucas, and you can pretty much go anywhere from there. If you were looking to go to London, it's about a 5.5-hour train journey from St Andrews, but you can go direct from Lucas to King's Cross. You don't need to change, which is really helpful. People would usually either go down to London on weekends or during reading week, which is a week in first semester where we don't have classes, as it does take about 11 hours total to get there and back, so it's not really doable in a day. And most of the people I knew who would go to London for a weekend were people who lived there, so they would go to visit their families more than to just travel there, as there's so much to do in London. The more time you have there, the better. If you were looking to see more of Scotland, there are some day trips planned by different societies in the university. So I was part of the At Home and Abroad Society this year, and we planned a day trip to take international students to Edinburgh Christmas, for example, and then to one of the many castles in Scotland. So we rent a bus and sell tickets so that you don't have to figure out how to get there by yourself. We do it all for you. If you were looking to travel to, say, Europe, which is a bit further away, obviously you have to fly, so you can get a bus from St Andrews to Edinburgh Airport. You do have to change buses once, but it's very easy. It takes about 2.5 hours to get to the airport, and then you can get very cheap flights around Europe. I know people who have travelled to different countries every weekend. I personally like to have a little bit more time than that in a place, but if you just want to go to as many countries as you can while you're in Europe, if you're an international student, say, then yeah, may as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that it helped you figure out if St Andrews life is for you. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any other video ideas of parts of St Andrews you would like me to speak about, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!